Today we're going to learn the lesson 4 words and roots. These also have to do with positioning. You can follow along on page 23 of your workbook. For this flipped classroom lesson, you're going to need your root card and your pink word pyramid worksheet. There are 10 words that we're going to learn today. The first root is extra. This is going to go on your root card. It's Latin, and the definition of extra is on the outside. You're going to want to add the definition for extra to your root card. This is lesson 4, and again, the definition of extra is on the outside. We have several words that we're going to learn that use this root. The first word is extraneous. Extraneous is an adjective, which means it's a describing word, and it has two definitions. It can mean not essential or vital, or it can mean coming from the outside or foreign. An example of extraneous used in a sentence: students need to stop asking for extraneous trips out of class. Meaning, they need to stop asking to leave the classroom when it's not absolutely necessary or essential. There's a picture there of a lot of mailboxes. You could say that there's an extraneous number of mailboxes. There's too many. It's not essential. If you take a look on your workbook on page 23, this word is used in a sentence like this. It says, to study a virus, laboratory technicians must remove all extraneous matter. This is an example of the word being used with the second definition. So anything that came from the outside, they have to remove so that they can make sure the testing yields proper results. Now, this week, you're going to be using word pyramids as your vocab strategy. So you're going to write the word extraneous in the top box. As you can see, this kind of forms a pyramid, but we're going to jump around a little bit, and I would recommend you doing the same when you're filling out these word pyramids on your own. Once you write the word in the top box, you can then go down to the definition, which again means coming from the outside, foreign, or not essential or vital. Then I like to skip to the sentence, and I just use the sentence that I showed you on the slide, but if you'd like to create your own sentence or use a sentence from the workbook, that's fine too. The next step that I usually skip to is the synonyms. The synonyms are a little bit easier than the antonyms. Synonyms, like it shows here, are words that mean the same or nearly the same thing as the word itself. And I wrote a little note here for you to use a thesaurus to help you. A thesaurus is like a dictionary, but it gives you words that mean almost the same thing, and it also will give you words that mean the opposite. So it'll help you with both the synonyms and the antonyms. You can just use an online thesaurus, or if you have a dictionary, usually it lists synonyms and antonyms right there in the dictionary entry. Antonyms are words that mean the opposite of the word. So as you can see here, I added 2 antonyms, which I found when I did a search through a thesaurus. So when it's all said and done, your word pyramid will have the word, 2 words that mean the opposite, 3 words that mean almost the same thing, the definition, and the word used in a sentence. You're going to complete a word pyramid for each of the 10 words that you're going to learn in lesson 4. Like I said, I would recommend going in the same order that I showed you here, so that you can kind of write down what's shown on the slide and then pause the video to do your synonyms and antonyms using a thesaurus. The next word that we're going to learn is extraterrestrial. And if you've seen the movie E.T., E.T. actually stands for extraterrestrial. It's an adjective, and it means outside or originating outside the limits of the Earth's atmosphere, which makes sense because E.T. is an alien. This word used in a sentence: the extraterrestrial object crashed into the desert late in the night. So an object or a rock from outside the Earth's atmosphere came crashing into the desert. Another example, according to some scientists, the impact of an extraterrestrial object, such as a comet, caused conditions that led to the extinction of dinosaurs. Don't forget to add to your word pyramid. Remember, you have the word, you can write the definition, and the sentence that are both listed here, and then take a moment to pause this video so you can look up some synonyms and antonyms for the word extraterrestrial. Once you have your word pyramid filled out for this word, you can move on to the next word. This word also uses the root extra. Extrovert is the word, which is actually an antonym for a word that we learned earlier on this year. And if you can look at the definition, you'll probably figure out what that word is. So extrovert is a noun, and it is a person who's interested in things outside of themselves. These people direct their thoughts outward rather than inward. So at this point, you've probably realized that this word, extrovert, is the opposite of the word introvert, which we learned a few lessons ago, which was a person who directed their thoughts inward. An extrovert directs their thoughts outward. Extroverts are usually outgoing people. They're very talkative or bubbly. Always the extrovert, Alex chose the craziest costume she could. So when you're doing your word pyramid for extrovert, we already know one of the antonyms, which is introvert. So you can write that for antonyms. Again, at any point, please feel free to pause the video so that you can finish up your word pyramid before moving on to the next word. We're actually going to be learning a new root now, so you'll need your root card for this one. The root is medius, and it means middle. We have three words that use the root medius. The first word is mediate. Mediate is a verb, so it's an action, and it's to act as a negotiator between opposing sides in a dispute. So if you mediate an argument, you're kind of the unbiased person who's in the middle trying to negotiate between both sides. As it shows in the picture, sometimes John had to mediate arguments between his two best friends. During his presidency, Jimmy Carter mediated disagreements between Israel and Egypt. Again, this is a verb, it's an action. Don't forget to add mediate to your word pyramid. We're now on page 24 of your workbook if you'd like to follow along, and we're moving on to our fifth word today. Mediocrity is the next word. Mediocrity is a noun, but a lot of times it's used in the adjective form, which is mediocre. Mediocre is a describing word, and it basically describes things that are ordinary, in the middle, commonplace. Mediocrity is the noun version of the word, and it's the condition of being commonplace or ordinary. You should never be satisfied with trying for mediocrity. Always aim high. And again, please add this word as well as a definition, sentence, antonyms, and synonyms to your word pyramid. At this point, please feel free to pause the video so you can finish that word pyramid, but we're going to move on to word 6, which is a word you've definitely heard before, but maybe not used in this way. The word is medium. Medium is a noun in this context, and it has two different definitions, both of which you'll want to write down, so you'll have to write small for this one. A medium can be a substance or element through which something is transmitted. So that's why there's the picture that says on air. It's basically showing that the radio signal is being transmitted through some sort of medium, which in this case is probably like the wires. But medium can also describe a person who has communications with spirits of the dead. So if you've ever seen Long Island Medium, for example, the word medium in that context means someone who is able to communicate with dead people. The example that's listed here uses that first definition, substance or element through which something is transmitted. The medium in which our news has been delivered changes throughout time from newspaper to the internet. Don't forget to add this to your word pyramid. Feel free to pause if you need to, but we're going to move on to our next root. This root actually only has one word that we're going to learn. It actually has 4 words that go along with it that we're going to learn, and those are going to be the final 4 words. So there should be 10 words total when you're done. So your entire word pyramid worksheet should be filled out by the time we're done. The root means to follow. And you can add this to your root card. We're still in lesson 4. The first word that uses this root is kind of unique. It looks like 2 separate words, but it's really just one term, non sequitur. This is a noun, and it means a statement that does not follow logical evidence. So it's a statement that does not really logically make sense based on evidence. And this word used in a sentence. His excuse was a non sequitur, as it did not explain his lack of homework. So he couldn't really provide a logical reason for why he didn't have his homework. He didn't have good evidence. This one's going to be challenging to find synonyms and antonyms for, so I would definitely recommend using a thesaurus for this one when you're filling out your word pyramid. And again, this is a noun. The next word, this is the 8th word we're learning, is obsequious. This is an adjective, and it means excessively willing to yield to others, which should sound familiar. We learned another word that means almost this exact same thing, and hopefully you recognize that as being subservient. Subservient meant excessively willing to yield to others or submissive, which is the exact same definition that you see here for the most part. What that means is that subservient is a synonym of obsequious, so you can write subservient as one of the synonyms for your word pyramid. As an example, over time, Charlie learned to be obsequious around his brothers, especially when they were in a bad mood. So he learned to just yield to them and be willing to kind of back down a little bit when they were in a bad mood. The powerful Japanese military dictators, known as shoguns, expected their followers to be obsequious, is the sentence from your book. And we're now on page 25 if you're following along. We have 2 more words to learn. The next word is an adjective that again uses the same root. Subsequent is how this word is pronounced. It's an adjective, like I said, so it's a describing word, and it means coming after or later. So if you focus on the homework, you will perform better on the subsequent test. So the test that comes after the homework or later in the unit. And the picture there shows kind of the sequence that a frog follows when it's growing into full size. So it shows the subsequent form of the animal as time is passing. Another example, after the volcano erupted, geologists carefully monitored subsequent rumblings, so rumblings that came after the eruption. We have one more word that we're learning. This should be the last space on your word pyramid worksheet. The word is sequester. Sequester is a verb, so it's an action of going into hiding or seeking solitude or peace. It could also mean to isolate oneself, which is to really kind of block off any other distractions, any other people, and just be completely alone. As an example, in order to get my work done, I sometimes have to sequester myself in my office. I have to go into hiding. I have to isolate myself.